we've been knee-deep in Season 4 by now with Modern Warfare and Warzone. Jumping in, playing some games on the new map of Scrapyard with Captain Price and new weaponry, and perhaps even figuring out some more of that Easter egg in Verdansk, like why there's a nuke hidden in an underground bunker in Warzone. But alas, that's not the case, and so we sit here now with an unexpected extension for Season 3. But how long will this extension be? Today I want to dive into a discussion on the likely release window of the season of content we're waiting for, what you should be aware of in the meantime, and then also of an update that we may not actually see coming, but could be lumped in with Season 4's kickoff update. So, that said, let me know your thoughts down below. We still haven't seen everything in relation to Season 4, so let's say for theory's sake, what weapon would you like to see in the mid-season update, since we know of the Galil and the Vector coming seemingly at launch? As well, if you are new to the channel, do be sure to hit the subscribe button to stay doing Modern Warfare and Warzone, especially as we round into Season 4 content. There's going to be a lot to go over in the coming days leading up to and then following the launch of, so make sure you're here for all of it. But like I said, earlier this week, coming in a surprise announcement, we saw the delay of Season 4. There was no, and still is no official word as to when that extension will go to, but we saw it come no less. At that time of the announcement, players were a bit confused on the timing of things and what it would mean for the items at hand, such as the seasonal ranks and the battle pass, because they were actually set to change on the timers in-game at 10 AM Pacific Standard Time, but the update itself wasn't actually going to be coming until a few hours later in the evening for an update overnight. But that timer on such items still has not changed. If you take a look at your rank reset or your battle pass completion, you'll notice that it says there's a total of 0 seconds left on that countdown, and it has been that way since Tuesday. So for the foreseeable future, that doesn't look like it's going to be changing, as are the playlists that we have on offer. Those likely aren't changing either. Shoot House and Shipment 24/7 are both still around. We did see one shop update, I believe it was yesterday, in which we saw the introduction of the His Name Was Death bundle, which is the Mott submachine gun for the MP5 and the River Styx M91 blueprints, and a few other smaller items, but other than that, everything is still static and the same way that it was on Monday. As a result of that, the timer's not having any extension. I kind of jumped to the possibility that it's a release as soon as possible in a sense of that when planning for these update days. Today, as of Friday, is a normal update date for smaller playlist refreshes on the weekend, but I wouldn't anticipate that update coming tonight. I wouldn't expect Season 4 to just drop out of nowhere tonight. Instead, I'd probably shift my vision to that of the 1 week mark from the delay of when it was supposed to, bringing the content that we're looking forward to seeing maybe to this upcoming Tuesday or Wednesday. Likely Tuesday into Wednesday overnight though, as it was previously scheduled, just a week shift on that. That would bring that to the date to look out for to be June 10th, or if you're in California, Hawaii, or anywhere in the Pacific that's before the international dateline, late June 9th, but a delay of 1 week. Now, is that confirmed? Absolutely not. We haven't had much really experience in seasonal delays or content delays in COD history, and as with the entirety of, I guess, 2020 as a whole, on a global scale, we're kind of in uncharted territories here. The only other delay of sorts that we can call upon for reference, perhaps to validate that theory of a 1 week shift, is that of Season 1's content extension that was announced on January 15th. In a blog post on the Infinity Ward website, it was announced that Season 1 at the time would be extended from the end date previously known at the time of February 3rd to a then new end date of February 11th. Now, the only difference in a direct one-to-one parallel between this previous happening and the theory we have on hand now is that the Season 1 timer was always strangely refreshing on a Monday. February 3rd was a Monday, and normally those updates happen on Tuesdays. And this adjustment in the past with Season 1 sort of just did that timetable and gave us a Tuesday end date plus that 1 week mark. And while we're not necessarily on that exact everything's going to launch on a Tuesday mark because of COVID-19 and the shifts in releases, that correction in schedule and then a 1 week delay on top of that does draw into being that parallel to the theory we have on hand now. So 1 week does seem to be that likely candidate, at least in my mind. As for what's coming with this, again, we know the bulk stuff, the major key players like Price, Gaz, the Galil, the Vector, which looks to be called the Fennec in-game. Scrapyard is that main key art promo map showcased, and likely something with Warzone coming as well, but there's still some variables that will likely be revealed in the trailer coming at some point just before the launch of the season. Now, with a delay in the seasonal launch, I'd also assume that shifts the entire plans back for reveals and the marketing of such items. With nothing really being seen last week at this time and over the weekend, I can't really say that I'm anticipating much of anything in the way of teasers, reveals, or anything happening this weekend as of today, tomorrow, and Sunday. Maybe we get a blog post because we've actually not seen a community blog post from Infinity Ward in over a month, So that's something that maybe we get that later tonight, and if that's the case, we'll talk about that tomorrow and let you know everything you need to. But I can't really say that I'm expecting much from an official standpoint this weekend, and instead just seeing that stuff held off until Tuesday, where we're likely to get a blog post detailing the season, ahead of as well an official reveal of the trailer for all the content, and of course then that launch overnight into Season 4. That'd be my best guess and my assumption, but we'll of course have to wait and see if that's in fact the correct way of looking at the situation. But in the meantime, though, what I'd highly recommend is, of course, what we have mentioned in the past. Make sure that you complete all that you need to in the meantime. If you're a procrastinator like me with, say, less than 10 challenges left on your Officer challenges, for example, do them. You weren't really expecting an extension, so it's free time to do that in a sense. If you're not level 155 by now, make sure that you end up taking advantage of any double XP tokens, or perhaps jump in a shipment 24/7 for some non-stop action. You'll see you pulling off the best XP yields that you can in traditional MP. Go for those camo challenges or something if you want more XP also. Whatever you need to finish, just make sure that you do so, because this time gives you that as time you weren't expecting, and therefore can maybe be a little bit of a positive if you look at it in that light. But now, talking a little bit about the content that we mentioned could be an update that we weren't necessarily expecting. This perhaps in reference, though, into the next wave of bans coming in Modern Warfare and Warzone. I think it's safe to assume that we always will see stuff that's not previewed, and of course surprises for everybody, but when we think of that kind of stuff, maybe it's something like the Easter egg progression in Warzone. Maybe a classic map returning or something that wasn't marketed at all, but is something that's pretty cool, but it's not something you see up front. What I'm expecting with these bans is something that is honestly, I think, a welcome change and a surprise, but may not be something that's entirely publicized or maybe even see any of the spotlight. In addition to their statement regarding the delay of Season 4, on Wednesday, Infinity Ward put up a statement talking about in-game names, in which it said, "There is no place for racist content in our game. This is an effort we began with launch, and we need to do a better job. We're issuing thousands of daily bans of racist and hate-oriented names, but we know we have to do more, and we are." Listing then that they're adding additional resources to monitor and ID racist content, adding additional in-game reporting systems to increase the number of bans by hour, adding filters and greater restrictions on name changes, evaluating in-game improvements to make it easier to report offenses, and increasing permanent bans to root out repeat offenders. They then close with, "We apologize to our players. This is our commitment to you, our fans. Thank you." Now, personally, I see this as a great call. I know that some people will say, "But it's just jokes," to which, no, man. If you have to be an offensive dick to be funny, you're not actually funny. My only concern, though, comes down to the execution of this. When we have things like the word assault banned in the creator class when referencing an assault rifle, which is listed many times in plain view in the menus, when that's banned, but then we have players running around with profanities and things like swastikas in the name, that's a problem. Clearly, those things don't line up one-to-one on those filters. But the problem is that the current system in place for the custom names generated aren't actually Infinity Ward application side of things. That's an Activision filter system. How you change your name is with your Activision ID or Call of Duty ID, but that's what's a direct tie to the forum display names. That's how you can choose anything. So those profanity filters that we see in-game for things like assault, those aren't actually the same filters used at all. So in order for this to work properly, we need to see this be a unified system. We need to see the same filters in place with the Activision forum side of things, as well as the Infinity Ward application side. Bans can only do so much once the name's out there. And yes, like they mentioned, they're going to be cracking down on repeat offenders, giving permabans, but that's not prevention, that's reaction. But overall, I'm happy to see the announcement of this. I'm happy to see what their plans may be to go forward with this, and I'm not trying to virtue signal at all, but I just don't see the need to be offensive whenever we're just trying to play a game. I think it's a pretty simple and reasonable code to live by of just don't be a dick. But with the announcement of this, I'd be willing to bet that with Season 4's launch, we see some sort of implementation that takes this to a reasonable level, something that actually puts this in action. Whether that be something that in-game we see new options via the report system, or stricter name filters, or maybe even a tighter time frame on how you can change your name and the amount of times you can change your name. We'll have to see how that all plays out, but for right now, I would expect that also to be coming in Season 4. But overall, like we said, it is nothing that is confirmed, but just based off of, I think, a logical comparison, I'd expect Season 4, though, while not officially announced, to be coming here within the next week. So, that said, we'll keep you up to date with absolutely any and everything you need to know whenever that stuff does, in fact, decide to come out. And, of course, as we get more information, whether that be via blog post, perhaps by Infinity Ward later tonight, whether that be an official teaser of some kind, we'll keep you in the loop with all of it. So, hopefully you enjoyed the video. Let me know your thoughts down below. If you did enjoy the video, though, make sure to drop a like down below. And, of course, if you are new to the channel, Make sure you guys subscribe so you don't miss a single thing regarding all things Modern Warfare, updates, news, information, tips, tricks, all that good stuff we got you covered here on the channel. So if any of that interests you, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a single thing. If you guys also want to follow me over on Twitter and Instagram, those are the best places to get connected outside of YouTube. But I can live on both those, so if you guys want to strike up a conversation, ask me a question, whatever it may be, that link is down there in the description below. But all that said and out of the way, thank you guys all so much for watching. My name is Ben Espresso. I'll see you guys later. Take care, and peace.